Hello, this is Bret Hayworth with the Sioux City Journal. Welcome you to our website here for a series of videos that we're doing on the Iowa 4th District congressional race. The June primary with 5 Republicans is fast approaching. We're just a few days away from that. And today we have Randy Feenstra, who is one of the 5 Republicans. He's a state senator from Hull, Iowa. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having us today. I greatly appreciate being with you, and I so much enjoy the Sioux City Journal. It's been a part of our family for decades, so it's just a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. To get going, one factor that's really impacted the campaign this year is coronavirus, and how it is that you candidates can actually move and do the things that you want to contact people. The various aspects of the state have been shut down, restaurants and things, but now Governor Reynolds is lifting those, and I know that in-person campaigning stopped, and I know this is maybe kind of a last-minute question, but with some of the restrictions being lifted, do you foresee that there could be in-person campaigning here over the last few days? Is that something you're going to pursue or not necessarily?
I think we always have to be careful. I applaud the governor for lifting a lot of the bans that were out there. We have to take responsibility as individuals, and we have to protect the vulnerable, but we also have to work with our economy, and she's opening up our economy, and I was excited to hear that playgrounds are going to open. So you know what, I'm going to take my kids out and have a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, just to go out to whether it be Oak Grove or whatever it might be for a couple hours, but we're excited these things are opening. We have to get back to normalcy. And part of our campaign when this all happened was, who are we as Iowans? What can we do? And we sort of pivoted and stopped our campaign and said, let's see how we can help people in the 4th District. How can we help our neighbors? You know, we sent out postcards, and we had a mailer and phone calls and said, how can we help you? And it's just exciting to see that I helped people with SBA loans, small businesses on some of our main streets. I helped people that didn't understand how to get unemployment insurance. And we even had people call in and say, hey, can you get diapers and wipes? But this is who we are. This is who we are as Iowans, to help each other. And that's why I'm excited that things are opening, but we still have to be responsible. And that's how I think this is going to play out as we move forward.
So with those aspects that you just mentioned, do you feel like you were able to still connect with people in a way that works for you, I guess? Yeah,
exactly. And so connection came a different way. It came through technology, social media, calling, doing Zoom. It was just different. But as people started understanding that this is the new normal, temporarily, people were supportive of it. And so it was just exciting to see we have over 600 county chairs in all 39 counties and 260 students who are calling and helping out. And you can do that when you have that grassroots people to call and write postcards. And we spent night after night with a lot of these people writing postcards. Hey, how can we help? This is our number, call us. And it was just amazing to see all the calls we got.
So as we go on, I'm going to have a mixture of kind of issue questions and then also kind of some horse race questions. So let's do a little horse race right now. You are by far the money leader in this race, and that has enabled you to turn out a whole series of commercials. And it's not only Sioux City, I believe you have other markets, is that right?
Yeah, there's campaign commercials throughout the district. Okay. Yeah.
Have you seen any traction with those, or how are those being received? So has that been an effective use of your money?
Right. So commercials are important to get your story out. You know, why am I running? You know, and we're trying to address that. What I've done, I've proven that I can be an effective conservative leader. Of what I've done in the Senate, you know, I've banned taxpayer-funded abortion. I've banned money going to Planned Parenthood. I authored and wrote the largest income tax reduction in state history. I fought against, I defended the Second Amendment rights, and we created the largest expansion of gun rights in Iowa history. We created Stand Your Ground. These are all things that you have to get out to people and say, hey, I've proven this. This isn't rhetoric. This isn't just me saying I hope to. I did it. And this is what I want to do in Congress.
Okay. And I did want to ask about the gun laws, the red flag, which Congressman King has brought up recently. What's the most definitive way that you can express what your support for that or not support for that?
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate. I think he's been very disingenuous. But for me, I'm passionately against red flag laws. I do not support any red flag laws. And I got an A rating from the NRA. That should say a lot.
Okay, okay. Just tell me maybe the top 3 issues that you have, 2 to 3 issues of what's most important to you as you campaign here in 2020.
So my number one issue, and it always has been, is to protect innocent life. We have to protect the unborn. And where I come from that is my faith. I believe that God created every person in His image to further His kingdom and have some purpose in life. We're created today to do something in His creation. That's why I'm passionate about it. That's why I've been endorsed by National Right to Life. That's why I banned taxpayer-funded abortion and wrote the Life at Conception bill without any exceptions, because it's so important to me. And number 2 is our family farms. We have to do everything possible to help them. The Packers have a monopoly right now. And it's tragic to see our producers, whether it be eggs, cattle, hogs, dairy, corn, whatever it might be, that they're on the verge of going bankrupt. Mm-hmm. And this is a security issue. If we don't have a good food supply chain, it's over for our country. We have to have a strong supply chain, and it's sort of the breadbasket of the world is in the 4th District. I mean, we're number 1 and 2 in all these areas. So I will fight. I'll make sure that we have a voice on the Ag Committee. I'll make sure that I'm chair of the Ag Committee at some point. Okay. Right, and then finally,
if you want to do a third
just one more. You know, it's about reducing taxes. I did it in the Iowa legislature, being chair of Ways and Means, writing the largest income tax reduction in state history, and then also reducing property taxes with the help of Ambassador Branstad, who's supporting me, and then alongside Governor Reynolds. These are things that have to get done. And obviously defending against the liberal left on our gun rights. I mean, we have the right, it's the Second Amendment right to bear arms. Mm-hmm. That's why I believe in constitutional carry.
Okay. And you mentioned a question that I was going to get to anyway, but about committees, and want to talk about Congressman King's committees, which were taken from him early in his 2-year term, about almost a year and a half ago now. At the end of the debate in Spencer, he brought up in his closing comments that he had this agreement with the House Leader, McCarthy. What's your understanding of that agreement, and do you think he will get back his committees?
Well, I think it's up to the steering committee. There's a steering committee in Congress that has to decide if he gets put on his committees or not. I just know this, is that we missed out on having an effective leader in the last couple of years, and we need an effective voice. We need a fresh, new, proven, effective voice that can go to Congress and make a difference for our farming community, for our main streets, for our families. We need somebody very active, and that's what I want to do.
So following up on that, so while that's an issue that you're raising, how much do you hear from people in the 4th District that the congressman has lost his committees? Yeah. That's a concern for them.
Yeah. So that's sort of what perpetuated why I'm in the race. Is I had a group of farmers come to me, and I also had some business groups come to me and said, "Hey, we don't have a voice. We have no voice. We've seen what you've done in the Iowa Senate, right? You've done it. You've proved that you can cut taxes. You've proved that you can stand up and help us farmers. You've proved that you're going to help Main Street, Iowa, and help families." And that's where I talked to my wife and said, I think this is a calling. I think I've got to look into this. And at the end of the day, after prayer, we came through and said, yes, I am the person that needs to be this effective conservative in the 4th District and be a voice.
What do you think about the tenor of the campaign, Mr. Feenstra, about any back and forth that you've had with Steve King on issues and the committees and that sort of thing?
Well, I will just tell you this. I've focused on my own, what I can do, and whether he says things or not. It's just look at my record. I have a proven record, and everything else that others say, whatever is rhetoric. Mm-hmm. My constituents and the people in the Iowa legislature, they elected me as assistant majority leader. They put me as Ways and Means because they know I can be effective conservative leader. Congressman King, he was pushed off his committees. So to me, it's quite something if you look at it, right? I've done it, and people know that I can get it done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another horse race question, I guess. With polling, what's your assessment of where the race stands here? How close do you think this is, and what, if you believe that it's, that you will win, what's that based upon?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different polls that are out there. It shows that it's a very tight race. It's showing that we're almost tied, whether I'm up a point or whatever it might be. But I think people are starting to look at it and say, we need a fresh face. And they look at who's done this, who has actually been in the trenches and fought for pro-life and got things done. Who has got things done for agriculture, who's got things done for Main Street. And then you have the support of Ambassador Terry Branstad. You have the endorsement of Bob Vanderplots. You have the endorsement of the Republican Jewish Coalition, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. You know, these are all organizations, the National Right to Life, that have come on board and said, Randy can get it done because he's proven it in the Iowa legislature.
So in 2016, when Congressman King, another state senator, Rick Bertrand, ran against him in that primary, entered the race much later. It was, I think, about 2 months before March, before the primary. A lot of the Republican establishment supported Congressman King at that point. From my understanding, the Republican establishment in the state is staying hands-off and is not really endorsing. How do you read that? What does that say?
Yeah, I think that's a tell. I mean, that's very significant. And even President Trump, President Trump has not endorsed King and actually has endorsed other congressional candidates in Iowa. That should be concerning for everybody of when you don't have the governor or our senators or the president endorsing a sitting congressperson. That should tell people a lot, that is he effective? And I think everybody's looking at it. It's time for somebody to be an effective conservative that's proven that will get things done.
And just as a follow-up to that, and this is last question regarding Steve King specifically, but what would be the most, one or two distinctions that you would make between yourself and him? Like, if nothing else, what would it be?
Well, the bottom line is this. You have to be effective. So you can have rhetoric. Anybody can yell, scream, talk about what they're going to do, but it's got to show in results. To me, being in the business sector for most of my life, it's always driven by outcome and results. And you have to prove that, hey, I can get results, like myself. I mean, authoring the largest income tax reduction in state history. I did it, I passed it, I got it done. The same thing with pro-life. We passed the heartbeat bill, we passed it. Same thing with the Second Amendment. We expanded the largest Second Amendment rights in Iowa history. All right? Sanctuary cities, we made sure that we got rid of sanctuary cities. Right? So people can talk and say, well, this is what I'm going to do, but it's about results and outcomes, which I got done.
Is it a two-man race? Do you think the other three are they going to be a factor in the race?
Yeah, I think it is a two-man race. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any worries that a few percentages here or there that otherwise might go to you, the anti-King vote, so to speak, is split?
Well, you know what? Everybody's running for a purpose and a reason, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. But it's just exciting to see all my endorsements, to see whether it be National Right to Life, the Republican Jewish Coalition, the U.S. Chamber, support of Ambassador Terry Branstad, Bob Vanderplots, all these people coming on board, and then you have 600 county chairs from all 39 counties, 260 students, and the support of so many. That to me tells me that people want a change and they want a true new face in the 4th District.
Do you think it is likely, unlikely, the 35% threshold that a person needs to have to ultimately advance without a special convention?
I think that's highly unlikely.
Okay.
I really do.
That someone wouldn't get the 35%.
Right. I just see that it'd be very tough mathematically.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you, when you first joined the state Senate, who were some people that you looked up to or that taught you kind of the lay of the land in the Iowa Senate? And then are there any, flipping that forward, are there any national Republicans that you kind of take as your lead or that you admire or want to speak about?
It's funny you asked that. So one of my closest colleagues was our Governor Kim Reynolds. We were both treasurers together, and then we both came into the Iowa Senate together. And she sat right next to me, and we learned a lot from each other. And that's why I applaud her leadership and what she's doing, because I saw it. I saw it real life sitting next to her in the Iowa Senate. The same thing with Senator Joni Ernst. So then she came in after Governor Reynolds left, took her spot, and she sat next to me, and I saw her aspire to be our U.S. Senator, and it was quite amazing. But I think we all worked and saw Ambassador Terry Branstad and saw this 20-some-year governor and how he could work and get things done for Iowa. And that's what I look at and say, that's what I want to do. It's all, again, about results and getting things done, and they're doing that, and that's what I want to do for the 4th District.
Okay, and then nationally, is there anyone that that's top level that people would recognize that's a Republican, national Republican that you think is admirable? Or
No, I will say this. I've got to be pretty neat friends with Representative Dusty Johnson out of South Dakota.
Sure.
And me and both said, hey, we're young guns, and we're going to protect our farming community, because South Dakota and us have a lot of things in common, especially when it comes to agriculture. And he just said, I can't wait till you get here, because we're going to make it happen, and we're going to get things done for Iowa and South Dakota. So I'm excited to work with people like that.
Okay. And to wrap up as the final question, I think we've talked a lot about issues, so I have one more kind of process question. As we sit here and speak, there's lots, dozens, hundreds of early mail-in ballots that are flowing in. What do you think about the process of that, the security of that? President Trump has talked about not liking the mail-in process. How is that playing out?
It's funny how this all played out. So 2 years ago, I was on state government, and my close confidant, Senator Robbie Smith, we worked together, and we passed the voter ID bill in the Iowa legislature. We didn't know what was going to happen, but what the voter ID bill did is protect absentee ballots and people submitting ballots, making sure that people had an ID, whether that be a driver's license or some ID that they had that was given by the Secretary of State. And this all plays out now that, unlike most states, we have a pretty secure system. Now, I'd love to see people go to the polls. I would love to see that in November. But for what we did 2 years ago about passing voter ID, there's very few states that have it, and we do. So that protects our system quite a bit. And you think about America, we're so privileged to have a fair election system, and we have to make sure that we keep that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming in, Senator Feenstra.
It's been a pleasure.
Really
appreciate
the time, and thank you for speaking to our journal readers and our journal viewers. And again, the race is almost, or I'm sorry, the voting day is almost
here. Yeah, a few more days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.